It works. Leave it alone. Now it's off. Hit it in the middle of the plate.
There we go. Greetings. I want to welcome everybody to the May 2025 edition of the Historic District Board of Review. Brenna, do you want to do a roll call, please?
Bill Jewell,
Here.
Happy Smith.
Here.
Chris Cody,
Here.
Ken McWilliams,
Here.
Ryan Rogers,
Here.
Jared Anderson,
Here.
Jed Skillman.
Here.
All right. Did everyone have a chance to review the meetings or the minutes of the last meeting?
Yep.
Any changes? Anything different? No?
I move we accept the minutes as submitted.
In a second?
I second that.
Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
All right, welcome, everybody. We'll conduct the meeting tonight by having either the owner or their representative come up to the podium, adjust the mic to where we can hear you quite well, and tell us your name and your address. At that point, Brenna will then review the project as it's been presented to the city. At that point, the owner or their representative will have a chance to add anything that they would like or change anything. We will then have discussion from the board. We will then have what is called a finding of fact, where one of the board members will relate how this project relates to the particular or the specific chapter in our guidelines. So it looks to me like we're about ready to go at that point. Let's start out. The first one on the list has been tabled. We're going to start with the second one with...
Nope. Hold on.
We
We
need
do
a
have to make a motion to table
Oh, I'm sorry.
and vote on that.
I move we table the project at 123 Jefferson for 1 month.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Bill Jewell,
Approve?
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
Okay, first one will be Judy Stasier at 518 East 2nd Street.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to be back here. It's been a while.
Now, normally you guys come up and say your name. Brenda then will give a...
I'm Judy Staser, my husband Robert.
Okay. And Brenda, if you could give us a overview of the project.
So, 518 East 2nd is a contributing structure that the primary structure was built in 1910. It's zoned historic district residential, and they are wanting to replace the garage in the back with a two-story garage. So this is the current one. These are proposed materials, and then we have some drawings of what the proposed garage will look like, and then some more of what it currently looks like. And this is a picture that was submitted by Ken, so he will be talking about that as well.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add or correct?
Two things.
Okay.
Our surname is spelled Staicer. 2 letters are reversed.
Oh, okay.
And the house was built in 1912, not 1910.
So, as far as we know, she may have other information, but that's what we know.
I have what the survey says, but
Oh, okay.
but that could be.
It's, yeah, who knows?
We only know what the seller told us.
When I made these drawings, I didn't have all the information finalized, I just drew in, for ease, the 1/1s, but what I think we might do is like a 6/6, which is what we currently have, and that would be more in tune with the flavor of the area, and the same as what we've got in the garage now. And the doors will have windows in them, and again, like a six light window. My program that I was using is severely hobbled and barely made it through being able to produce these drawings, so some of the details aren't there. And we're going to go with a 6-pitch roof rather than 4 as in the drawing, because the 6 just looks nicer and it gives us a little bit more space up there. So that's about it, really, that I can think of that may be any different from what you've seen.
Do any members of the board have questions?
Brenda, show my photo, please. All right. So I took this guy, so I was looking around, and on the north side of the alley, it's the usual alley in Madison, hodgepodge of this and that's nice, not so nice that.
Right.
I don't recall any other alley where residences face the alley. And so have you talked to these folks about what your plans are?
The person directly across from us, Robert Dean, he knows we're planning to do this. I haven't really had a chance to speak to any of the other people on the alley yet.
Okay. Then my other piece, when did you arrive at going two-story instead of a one-story across the back of the lot?
Well, we wanted to make an art studio for people, and because there isn't really room in the house for that. And
No,
so
I
we
understand
decided
that.
that would be, since we're going to have to tear down the garage anyway, that we might just as well make the roof a little higher and use that space as a studio.
Okay,
Judy's
So
a
that was-
photographer and a painter.
okay. Yes, no, I understand. I understand you guys. I just have concerns over having two stories in that area.
There are a number of other two-story garages around town.
Oh, yes, of course, but I'm, at your place.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I would absolutely support a one-story going across the back of the lot. I'm not going to support a two-story. It just changes the streetscape so much that it would mass out, create a mass for your neighbors, so. And that's all.
If we extended to a one-story but wider.
Yes.
To have a studio.
Yeah, just, yeah, in my mind, just working the 3-foot easements that we have to have in the district.
Right.
I think that's
What would
fine.
be well, we'd have to either tear out the existing foundation.
That's right. No, you'll have, no, yes, you're right. I'm hoping that's the lower, my mind, the lower cost of a one-story offsets your foundation cost increase.
Okay. But you have no objection to
No,
using up more of the backyard?
I do not.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Well, in defense, there is the guidelines say that you can't have it more than, I forget what the number is, 43 feet or something like that, and it's well under that. So,
No, you are correct about that.
I beg your pardon?
You are correct about that,
Okay.
Judy. Okay.
You know,
Happy,
I'll-
did you have something you wanted to?
This is a really, really minor point. I do love your accordion garage doors there. I'm hoping that those could maybe be saved for architectural salvage when you
would-
do,
I would-
unless you have plans for them.
I want to salvage as much as we can. We're not going to use them because they're not really in great shape, but anything we can give to Restore, we would be more than happy to do that because.
Greater, I think there might be people around town who might be interested.
Absolutely. And the
So,
existing garage door, which works well, it's just too narrow for our needs.
Right, we have a 10-foot and an 8-foot, and we want to go to 2 9-foot openings.
Robert, do you know there
Great,
are,
thank you.
my door is 10 foot wide by 8 high, and, so Clopay makes that, you just have to get special order at Home Depot for them to make it, but you can go wider than 9.
Okay.
I'll just speak up and say that I don't have a problem with 2 stories here. I definitely hear the concern, and the uniqueness of that alley is remarkable. But given that this building is at the end of the street on the corner, and given the context, which is an urban context with a Fairfield right around the corner, and I know that there's a 2-story garage right around the way on First Street as well,
Right.
that's also right next to a series of homes like this, and it's
Right.
also a corner house, and I don't think that it really diminishes the integrity of that collection of homes. I don't really have a problem with 2 stories here, but I do want to echo the salvage of the accordion garage doors. Those are really
Oh,
neat.
I'm all about salvaging stuff. I mean, I don't want to put any more stuff in the landfill than we have to. Obviously the siding is, done with and the roof will have to go, but there's plenty of good lumber in there. And I've talked to the contractor about using there's a lot of good plywood inside, and why throw it out? Just use it, then we don't have to pay for more. So, yeah.
And on the idea of maybe expanding the footprint of the garage, I would be a little bit worried about that just because the original house, there's already a large addition on the rear of it, and
Right.
taking up more of the lot might overwhelm from a square footage lot coverage space the original historic.
Right.
So that's where I do see 2 stories as the best way to get that extra space for you.
Yeah. I agree on that because I think it would just be like bulky in a different way, if it were spread out more, and it would really cut up the yard quite a bit.
final height of your two-story building would not be any taller than your primary residence. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
The windows and doors you mentioned that you were going to add the grills to, had you picked a brand or had you,
Well, we're trying to save money on this, so because we've spent, as you may know, a great deal of money on this house already. So we're trying to not do
looks
this
good.
on the cheap, but we're trying to
Customer here.
be modest in our approach to this. I was looking at what like Lowe's and Home Depot have, and they only have, I wanted to get aluminum, because I know aluminum is what is requested on the houses, but it doesn't say anything about window material in the garage guidelines. But I can't find aluminum single-hung windows anywhere. All I can find are vinyl. So, alas, that's what I'm looking at, unless somebody has some idea where you can get aluminum single-hung windows that don't cost a fortune.
Judy, any of the box stores have clad windows, one single, double hung, whatever you want. So there are all sorts of options out there.
Clad windows? Oh, you mean like wood clad with something?
Yeah, wood clad. That's what we prefer you buy, not
Okay,
aluminum.
but isn't it, what is the cladding?
Well, that's the environmental protection they have. So you have a vinyl wood clad and you have aluminum wood clad. So how you choose is probably the manufacturer that you're going to choose.
Okay, so you're talking about a wooden interior with
That's right.
an aluminum or a vinyl exterior? Okay, I thought it was more of a concern about what the outside of it looked like. So would either aluminum or vinyl clad windows be
We've
appropriate?
approved both.
Oh, you do, okay. That was one of the questions I had, because it wasn't
back to my,
explicit in the guidelines, so.
back to my question
Yes.
about the grills. We prefer not to have the grills between the glass, and when you go to the simulated divided light, they are quite a bit more expensive.
Oh,
So the consideration whether you do 1/1 versus 6/6 is a financial choice.
right, because there are 9 windows in this, and that's going to add up to quite a lot of money if we have to go with the exterior mullions.
Yeah.
And I understand about the look, because,
What made me think about it is the door that you have there has grills between the glass, which is not something that would
well,
typically be
yeah, that's
approved.
what you get for an inexpensive exterior door at Lowe's, you
Yeah.
know, so, and again, if, we're just hoping not to make this like a fantastically expensive project,
I understand.
because it's, yeah.
And you did say that despite what the pictures show on the windows, you're going to do the 6/6.
We'd like to.
Okay.
If the interior dividers are not acceptable and you find that the 1/1s are acceptable, we could do that. I just thought it would be a nicer look to have the mullions, but, I'm comfortable with either choice, actually.
Yeah, personally, I'd say that the 6/6 would be preferred, but that's just my opinion.
Okay.
I agree with that. 6/6 would be better.
Same with the 6/6. I don't have a problem with the two-floor version of this. And as Happy said, I'm sorry to see the accordion doors go, but there's no way, because I looked at them, and they're not in solid shape. So-
No, the earth's been up against them since that tree that fell across the alley 3 years ago, and, yeah, they're kind of in sorry shape, but, somebody who really wanted to fix them up, maybe
Yeah.
could do that.
Have
But-
fun.
And I'm more than willing to make sure that any of that stuff can go into, the restore or some sort of architectural salvage, so that it could be reused if it's reusable.
And is the siding in this picture, is it actually going to be sort of the thinner siding on the bottom with the thicker siding up top, or?
That's what I thought I'd do, just to
Yeah.
sort of break it up visually so it doesn't look like this massive block.
Sure.
So, yeah.
No, I think that's a great addition.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody? Any members of the public that would like to comment? No? It looks like at that point, we are going to do findings of fact. Let's see here. Ryan, could you do it for us, please?
I didn't bring my book
Oh,
today.
well, happy, Ryan, go ahead.
All right. Architectural style. Location's good, reconstruction missing. Mass taller than the principal building, we're good there. I don't see anything jumps out at me. To go back to the windows, though, in the approval, are we approving it with SDLs, or are we approving it with grills between glass? If we approve.
Ask the owner.
Well, that's where I want to make sure that we don't leave a void there for interpretation when we make our recommendation. Beyond that, I think it's suitable for the application. I like the fact that the pitch has gone up a little bit. I like the thought that you're looking at the siding to
I
do
can't
something.
hear you very well, I'm sorry.
Somehow my mic got off.
No, it's just kind of far away from you.
I think it meets all the guidelines, beyond the question about the windows, whether it's going to be SDL or one light, is my biggest question. And I like the fact that you're doing two different types of siding to make it look a little more interesting than just a big box sticking
Exactly.
up there.
Okay. Now, how do people on the board feel about this?
You have to ask each one.
Chris?
I'm fully supportive of this. I think that it's thoughtful, and again, I have concerns about any more lot coverage, given the size of the historic house, and think that vertical is the only way that they can go here to add the square footage that they need.
So you agree that it meets the guidelines?
Oh, we're still just doing findings of fact?
Yes.
Yes, I do believe it meets the guidelines, although I would add that I think that any approval should be conditional on doing the mullions, the 6/6 instead of single, pursuant to the guidelines, specifically 24.5, that the materials, in this case windows, should be matched more closely to the historic context as opposed to modern 1/1s.
Just
Jed?
I approve the project. I think it meets guidelines, and it's an addition. It's definitely an improvement.
I agree with Robert, same reasons.
Jared?
I agree. I will say I would not be in support of a conditional. I want to be sure we don't abuse that. I think it's going to be coming more and more, and I don't want to do any conditional approvals. I think we just need to approve what but that's just my thoughts. But no, I think you follow the guidelines quite well.
I'm happy to withdraw the suggestion for conditional approval and just state approval.
Ryan? Yeah, you approve?
I approve.
Because he started it.
I think it meets guidelines.
Okay.
Motion?
Ask for
Do I hear a motion?
I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Robert and Judy Stacer at 518 East Second Street for the proposed two-story garage with windows with 6/6 muntins. Is that what we want? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. To be located at 518 East Second Street.
I second.
All righty. Roll call.
Phil Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
Sounds like you can pick your permit up most any time here at the city or have it mailed to you.
Thank you very much.
After zoning.
Good evening.
Yeah,
Zoning,
if
right?
Thank you for
need
your
building
efforts.
permits, you'll still need to come in for those.
Right, I'll have our contractor come in, he'll handle all that stuff. Thank you very much. Nice to see you again, as always.
Thank you for
Bye.
coming. Next one here, we're going Bill Combs at 841 West Third Street.
Wilbur's here.
We have a Bill Combs?
James Edwards.
Oh, James, okay. Are you the rep?
I'm the owner.
He's the owner.
Oh, okay.
Bill Combs has
Oh, I see.
been doing helped me get contractors and stuff.
Okay. All righty. Brenda, could you review the project for us?
Yes, so 841 West Third, this is a contributing structure that was built in 1870 according to the survey. It is zoned medium density residential, and the request is to replace the shed that was damaged in the storm with a new prefab shed. Here are examples.
Okay. Would you like to,
Well, I had an outbuilding out there. I've lived there for over 40 years. And that walnut, that's in reverse, by the way. That walnut tree's on the other side.
Okay.
I think. No, I take that back. You can't see the walnut tree where I took that picture. Anyways, it tore up the building I had, you know, that I kept my tools in and all that. So I needed another one. There's an old possum crawled in underneath the one that I had
Of course they did.
and died. Because
Of course they do.
the building, I mean, we're set up on the property line with it.
Get that, Mac?
There's a person has
Headlights.
a garage, a metal garage next to it, and there's a whole lot of groundhogs and stuff that live in and underneath of it, and animals come. Anyways, I had to bust the floor, you know, to be able to get that thing out and get rid of it. So, I mean, the building was destroyed. I had a fireman friend of mine brought his excavator in and, you know, put it in a dumpster, and then I had him come in and level off the area and put new gravel and stuff down. And what I intend on doing is this company, it's called like Southern Indiana Buildings, it's based out of Olden, Indiana, and to have them build me a portable garage. It looked just like the other metal building, the garage is next to it and across the alley and all that, but they're gonna have to come in and build it on site, but as a portable. And the reason I need to do that is that my sewer line from my house goes right underneath of that. And my neighbors, Greg and Shirley Howard, their house next to there, it comes and crosses over in our property, and it goes under there too. So the only reasonable thing I can come up with is, you know, I need to keep doing it in gravel in case something happens and they have to dig it up and they won't tear
Sure.
the building down.
Okay.
Where they can bring in, like this company that's gonna do it. Now, they can't just make it somewhere else and haul it in, it's too big for that. But what they can do is once they got it built, if anything happens, they can come in with what's called a mule and pick that building up.
Sure.
And move it over until we can get in there for backhoe and fix whatever needs to be fixed, and then we can fill it back in, put the gravel back, move the building back.
Sounds like a pretty good plan.
That's,
Brenda, do you have anything additional to add to his?
That is it, just the.
Pretty much it? Okay.
I'm gonna keep it 10 foot away from
Sure.
the property line,
Okay.
from where it was, where that
Mhm.
giant walnut,
Okay.
you know, it's a real mess.
Does anyone
But-
from the board have any questions?
It's gonna be made out of metal, just like my neighbors all the way around me, and I'm gonna have them put a green metal roof on like what's on my house,
Okay.
and match the paint up as best as he can with the metal that he uses.
Right. It looked to me from your drawings that you had T111 or siding like that on the addition here. Is that what it is, or?
It's just metal, like what's on my roof, I think. I mean, it's just a metal garage, just like what, like I said, really standard thing.
Mhm.
It's gonna have a 9-foot door, one and one window. But it's still just gonna be a 14 by 24 foot, just temporary building. I can keep my lawnmower and garbage cans and tools and things like that in, with the garage door in front. But that's what it is.
I know that we've approved a garage that I can think of offhand that's on West Second Street that has a true standing seam metal roof and uses an approved siding, which is a board and batten metal that we've seen. Have you considered anything like that?
this is gonna be made out of what's next door. I mean, it's the same kind of metal, as far as I know what he's using. I mean, you all probably know more about specifics about all that stuff than I do. This is, like I said, it's a reputable company that's been around. They build these things a lot. You know, this,
The whole thing with your sewer line and the ability to be able to move this structure if something were to happen in the future, that seems to be a big part of your planning here.
oh, yes. I mean, it's not gonna look just like any other garage, you know?
Right, right.
But-
So would that not be possible, if it were to be a wood structure, we wouldn't be able to move it again so easily? Is that your reason for going with this
Well,
structure?
no, because the other one was wood and you know, it, kind of fell apart. I had, you know, painted and stuff, had Cone Construction. They painted it, it was like 2008 or was, but it's just the wood got destroyed. The metal building that was next to it, that was right on that side of the walnut tree, oh, it's still there.
I am struggling here because our guidelines say no metal sided buildings or no, what they say is no pole barns downtown. But you do have a special situation here with your whole,
Yeah, this is an actual
sewage
garage.
thing.
You know, you see
Yeah.
the ramp that comes up to it? No,
Yeah.
it's a real garage. You can pull a car in there, park it if you need to.
right? I think maybe it's the visual aspect of the pole barn kind of building, but I do hear you that you have a special situation with your, you're not able to control what might happen with those sewer lines.
Yeah, I mean, it's an old house now. I mean, these,
You have a great house.
Huh?
Love your house. Love your house.
well, it's just, no, it's falling apart. But I mean, I spent a lot of money, you know, last year. I've had it painted. That first picture you put up, it don't look like that no more. I seen you down there earlier,
Yeah.
driving around looking.
Stop by and took a look.
You know, I'm trying as best I can. But I need a place to put my, you know, lawnmower stuff. You know, I've done a lot for the city. I've been involved with this city a lot. You know,
Anyone else have anything else? Anyone else?
I think my biggest concern is the material. Yeah, I mean, the structure's fine, it's just the material's not approved for downtown.
I definitely hear that concern, but to Happy's question about how hard it would be to move a wood frame structure out of the way to then get at that sewer line, does anyone on this board know, I mean, how much lighter is an aluminum structure versus the wood, and how difficult would it be to move a wood structure? I mean, we don't want to give him impossible guidance.
I've got a question. When I looked at it, I didn't think about moving it. Why don't you move the thing now? Put it over away from the sewer line and the water line, and then you don't have to move it.
well, that's what I am. I'm gonna move it, to where it's on see where the car's at?
Yep.
The corner of the building's gonna be on the other side of that.
Okay.
To-
So to
to
the
get
right,
as much-
to the right of the backyard from here.
Yeah,
Okay, which is not the original location?
of the other building?
Yeah, the
No.
one,
No,
okay.
I need to move it over because that tree, like I said, it tore the wood structure up.
Well,
I
when I'm
had
driving
like
it,
tree service come in
Is-
after I had that gravel and stuff done. I had them come in and trim that walnut tree, the limbs that would be up above it, so it wouldn't do the same thing to the next building that I bring in.
I guess what I'm asking is, looks like, at least in this photo, a lot of room in that backyard to put a garage in or a storage shed. Why not pick one that is not over the sewer line, so that if they're in the event in the future that you have to fix something in the sewer line, you don't have to move the garage. Just put it over here. There's nothing below you but more earth. And then you have permanent shed. No?
Well, I mean, just the things to have a permanent is gonna drive the cost way up. And the building, like I said, it's not gonna look any different than the building next to it or across the alley. These people, like I say, they're companies, they can come in and it's gonna look the same. You know, I mean, I wish I had a picture of what was there before, just to, but I didn't.
It was not photo worthy, in other words.
The other building? Oh,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't at all. I mean, it needed to go.
Brenna, can you go back to the drawings? We didn't receive those. I just wanted to see those.
Maybe not in the,
No.
Oh.
At least
Those must
I
have come later,
don't
I'm
believe
sorry.
they were. No, that's okay.
Sir, do you have the option of determining which roofing and which siding is on the building?
I guess, I mean, I'm not sure what all he has, but
Okay. I know what we have approved in the past is available, standing seam metal roof and siding that is reverse, or it's a board and batten pattern, it's called. We've seen a couple of them in town now. I think they're very nice. And I wondered if you would consider a change to those materials.
What was our address, the one that got approved a couple months ago? Not Madison, McIntyre, one of those streets?
Marine.
This one at
Marine,
Fifth,
Almost to
on
the
Marine
end of the
Street. He did one there.
at Fifth and West, down just before you head up the hill. There was two buildings, the new building and this addition at 701. I believe, I recall that being addressed. That's board and batten, vertically installed.
I know one building in town where they put a garage in, and it's really made of exterior plywood. It was sealed, stained, and then they put batten strips on it to make it look like board and batten, and it looks pretty nice. Many ways to skin the cat.
Anybody else? Anybody from the general public that would like to speak to this matter? Let's see, I think we should do finding of fact at this point. Jed, do you think you could do that for us, please?
Okay. That is, oh boy, we're back to 101 and 102. Okay. All right. All right. Should be compatible with buildings. 24.1, the design of the new garage or other accessory building should be compatible with dwellings in the historic district. And it's been pointed out, this is not compatible. Site the new garages and accessory buildings appropriately on the lot. Locate attached new garages and outbuildings to the rear. Okay, blah, blah, blah. If reconstruction of a missing garage or outbuilding is desired, should be based on accurate evidence of the original configuration, form, mass, and style. It's kind of the same mass, but you're going from wood to metal.
Yeah, to make it more durable.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to only have to do this one time in my life. I mean,
I got you. Outbuilding should mean proportional. Yeah, it's proportional. And materials in the new garages and outbuildings should reflect the historical development of the property. And I don't see that a metal garage works in that way. Generally, the eaves.
they got one next door. I mean, it's right next door to me. It's made out of metal.
Have somebody approve that. This is a tough one here for me. I would say this is a tough one. I understand his problem there. Metal garage doors with panel design. This about half meets the criteria. It doesn't meet them all. It doesn't violate them all. So I'm going to say it does not, but I'll leave it up to my colleagues here to
Alrighty.
chip in and see what they can think about this.
Chris?
Well, I have a little bit less heartache about the materials for the garage reflecting the historical development of the property because it is a modern garage and it should be differentiated from the new. I also understand the pretty unique constraints of having to locate this, or choosing to locate this rather, right above the sewer line. Maybe if there was another site where that wasn't the case and it could be permanent, it would be superior, but is that desire for something superior enough to deny, this application in front of us? As I look to the 24.1 about compatibility with dwellings in the historic district, the fact that there's a garage just like this right next door is pretty compelling in the immediate context. So, again, I definitely would like this project to be better, of a higher quality, but I'm also thinking that, there might be enough here to support approval, maybe with, and that it meets the guidelines. But I'd love to hear thoughts from other board members and suggestions as to maybe how we can help guide this to be a better project than it is right now.
Okay, Ken?
Thank you. This is a very secondary area in the district, and I think this project meets the guidelines.
Okay. Jared?
I'm not sure it meets the guidelines. I understand where you're coming from, but I do think that I believe that it could maybe be located elsewhere on the property. I think it boils down to the materials. If it was anything but the metal, you wouldn't get any concern out of me. So
I could probably have them change the material if that's the only thing holding it up.
I think that's probably the only thing
Yeah.
holding and making any of
Thing
us
that,
question.
when you make stuff wood, the maintenance of it, having to paint it, that makes it a whole lot harder for people.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Okay. Ryan?
I'm fine with the design. My concern is the materials, so.
Okay.
It's just really hard, we're asking people all over town to, to put in really, nice designs for their garages, and then we just have an unevenness, across town, where, some people are doing metal, and that's okay over here, and then it just causes a lot of unevenness, and that's really hard. The board is accused of, not being consistent. I think it's pretty clear, the guidelines really don't want metal-sided structures, metal structures. You've already got a couple of metal structures right next to you. You do have an unusual situation with your sewer lines. There have been times when we have had something that hasn't met guidelines, but we were willing to make an exception because of extenuating circumstances. So I think this might be a place where we could allow something because of your sewer lines. We could make an exception.
If it helps anybody else, this is the secondary district as well. It is not the primary district.
I think if it's in the historic district, it's in the historic district. I understand that there's different levels of that, but it's in the historic district, so.
This board, I've been on and off for 4 years, and we've approved fiberglass garages, aluminum board and batten garages. We've approved all sorts of different metals in garages all over the district at different times, so.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else?
Do you agree?
Vote.
Well, do you
Oh,
agree?
I'm sorry.
I didn't get yours.
And I am yes
Yeah, okay.
on the project. Let's see here. Could you do an overview here, Chris?
By overview, you mean make a motion?
That's what it is.
I'll make a motion for approval. Oh, here we are. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed project.
Second,
Roll call.
Landmarks gave us this.
Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
I approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Brian Rogers,
Disapprove.
Jared Anderson,
Do not approve.
Jed Skillman.
I'll approve.
It sounds like you are approved. You'll be able to get your permit through the city here or have it mailed to you, whatever works for you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, next one here, Susan Morrison at 308 Madison Street. Hi there. Could you state your name and where you live, please?
Susan Morrison, 308 Madison Street.
Okay, Brenna?
Okay, so this is a contributing structure that was built in 1890. It is zoned residential, medium density, and the request is to replace the carport in the back that was damaged in the storm with the same dimensions on the original concrete pad with a small enclosure for storage at the back with one door. And I do know that the original drawings that were sent to you were missing the height, so that has been added in. It is 15 feet.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
No,
Nothing at all? Okay.
it was a really awful garage that was there before, that a big tree fell on and destroyed, so,
Lucky you.
yeah.
And your application indicates that it was a metal garage before,
Yes,
correct? Okay, I just want to say that I appreciate you going and doing a wood structure.
Yes.
I think that goes quite nicely, and I really do appreciate your drawings as well. I think they're great.
Yeah, I think they're really good drawings.
Yeah, you gotta frame those.
Yeah.
Let's see, anything from the board? Anything, questions? Anything from the general public? No? Let's see then, I think we do a finding of fact. Let's see, Happy, have you done one yet?
Sure, no, Okay, design should be compatible. It is it's a wood structure. It's very nicely designed. The siding is good. Usually that means to the rear of the building. Yours is at the rear. 24.3 doesn't apply here. Proportional mass, size, and height. Thank you so much for the height dimensions. It's fine on that guideline. 24.5 materials, in this case wood, so you meet that guideline. Roof ridge shouldn't be higher than any existing primary building. You meet that one. Windows should be appropriate to the style of the house. No windows. No windows. Is that right? No windows?
No windows.
Okay.
Just one door.
Okay, so it does not apply. Metal garage doors, I don't know if you don't have garage doors,
No.
it's a carport. Okay, it does not apply. Same 24.9 does not apply. Located at the rear, seems to meet all guidelines.
Any?
Start, Robert.
All right.
Ask everyone to approve the findings.
Could I hear from everyone how they agree or don't agree? Chris, could you start?
I approve of the findings of fact.
Delighted with it.
Jed?
Yes.
I agree with Happy, same reasons.
Jared?
I agree.
Brian?
I agree. Nice design, nice materials.
I agree too. I like the design. Roll call?
Motion.
Based upon the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Susan Morrison for her project at 308 Madison Street.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Roll call?
Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Brian Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
Your application's been approved. You can pick up the paperwork from Brenna anytime you'd like or have it mailed to you, but you are in town here, so go ahead. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I think that'll make a nice addition down there. Okay, let's see here. Is the next one Tom Goddard?
Tim Gottward.
Gottward, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry. Tim Gottward at 408 Mulberry.
408 Mulberry. This is the
Tim?
Yes.
She's
Sorry,
first.
hold on.
Oh, yeah, I didn't jump in there.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so,
Brenda.
this application is for 408 Mulberry Street, but it's also, there are several, addresses here, that are combined. So this was the, Oddfellows Lodge at one point in time. The building is from 1911, and it is both contributing and individually eligible. It is zoned Central Business District, and the request here is to construct a new shed under the fire stairs that will be going in the back, and to replace side windows with glass block. Those are some of the side windows. These are glass block examples around town. And then this is where that shed will go, and the stairs will go right above it, like that.
Anything else you'd like to add? It's a nice-looking change here.
I heard that there were some questions about the appropriateness of glass block. I'm open to suggestions and input.
Have you considered just aluminum clad with maybe a frosted glass for privacy as opposed to
It's
the block?
less about privacy for what I call the breezeway in between the Ruoff Mortgage Building and the Lodge Building on the south side of the building. Those are the ones that you saw that were boarded up. Basically, it's a little bit of a security issue because it's kind of outside of public view. So basically to block those up, but still provide some light into the interior. And then the other one, that is showing on the Fountain Alley, the alley side towards that parking lot. Those, I was just kind of continuing the glass block because we're doing them on the other side. Standing inside the building, you can't, even me, can't see out the windows. So kind of just as making a more robust, less able to be damaged window that already in poor repair, make it a little more maintenance friendly.
Yeah, there is a lot of glass block around town, as you hinted. I mean, first off, I just want to say this is a fantastic building, one of my favorites in downtown, so thank you for taking this project on. I'm still a little concerned about the glass block solely because at the time of construction of your property, while glass block would have been a thing, it really didn't become heavily used in the United States until the 1930s.
Right.
And even then, it was really featured in Streamline, mid-century properties for several decades thereafter. I understand your concern. I guess I really would recommend, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but just aluminum clad, as opposed to the glass blocks. But as far as the shed goes, I have no comments about that. I think it's great. And again, I think you're doing great work. So
Yeah, there was some discussion about materials earlier. That current shed is T111 plywood.
Okay.
I was thinking of just using something similar, but if I need to go to a board and batten, that's fine too.
Personally, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I think what you have is just fine. I mean, it's in the rear of the building. It's really not seen. But again, that's just my personal thoughts.
Okay.
My only thought on this, because I see the same thing, it's just excellent that somebody's going to do something with it, is the glass block. And I'm wondering, is there a way, if there's a security issue, I don't see actually on this alley, because that's a little out in the open, I would hate to say bars, but security bars, and something like that instead. And the windows there, that's asking you a lot to repair those old windows, but those are neat old windows, and if you've noticed, I think 2 of those 3 windows still have
The old
gray
glass, yeah.
glass in it. I mean, that's nice glass there. So that even in the event that you do replace the windows with newer windows, don't get rid of that glass, donate. That's another thing to donate. And that's really my only question about it, is the glass block. I really don't like the glass block, but, upstairs, those are clad windows, and, but downstairs on the human scale of it, when you walk by, and there are people that walk by, believe it or not, they're normal people that take their golf carts down those alleys at night because it's really scenic. It's just, you've got something there. I'd hate to see you change it without really going through all your options that you can come up with to save those windows, or put in something that's similar that isn't jarring like glass block.
Okay, I'm happy to, if we can agree that I can put on like a iron grates instead of glass block, I'd be fine with that.
That's great. I want to join my other fellow board members in just praising you for taking this building on. This is an incredible project, and I'm just so excited to see this property activated. I got to ask, are you pursuing the Federal Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit for this? If you're willing to share any other plans, I'd love to learn more about what you're up to.
Yeah, I'm not currently, but now that you've mentioned it, and if those funds are available, I'll be happy to take advantage of that. But the original structure, if you go back to when it was first built in the 19-teens, they had storefronts, small businesses in those 5 front bays, and the goal is to return those bays to function and rent them out to small local businesses. So.
That's fantastic, and yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you offline about the tax credit, and there have been several successful tax credit projects in this town, so this would be an ideal candidate. And as for the glass block, the great glass block debate, I think that whenever possible, keeping historic fabric is always the better move, and you do have existing historic windows there, so I would be more inclined to support a security iron bar protection to solve your problem, rather than, ripping out the historic windows. But I'm sure that in the scheme of your entire project, and even in the scheme of just a fire escape and the shed, that should hopefully be a minor change, minor consideration.
Yeah, the glass block is not critical.
If I can get just one other word, I forgot to mention, it's none of our business, I guess, because it's interior. What are you going to do on the second floor?
I'm planning to figure that out in the balance of the year, and that's a 2026 problem.
Apartments or something like that?
Yeah.
Also open to suggestions.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions about the shed. So are you going to use the roof of the shed as the deck for the stairs, or is it going to be 2 different structures?
No, they will be 2 different structures.
Okay, so it's going to be some type of flat roof structure under the landing, or?
No, it will be connected but separate. As in the drawing, if you see the kind of tan color, that's the shed, and it would keep that angle of the roof to kind of keep water away from the rest of the building.
Okay, so it will be a pitched roof.
It will be a pitched roof like it is, yeah.
Okay, and I noticed you had an electric meter there. Is that where the electric is for the building, or that particular part of it?
There are currently 6 electric feeds to the building. We're working with Duke to relocate them.
Okay. I like the bar's idea. Madison Iron Works, if you're not familiar with them, they do beautiful work. Highly recommend them. And thanks for the tour today. I really appreciated it. It is a beautiful building.
You're very welcome, and that offer is open to any member of the council or the general public. They want to stop by, I'm usually there.
Anything else?
It is an amazing project, a big building. That's a really big building. You're very wonderful to take it on.
Anything else? Anybody else? Anybody from the public that would like to talk to this? Yes, sir.
Maybe a compromised position. On that north side, I can understand the not wanting to do the glass block and go to the bars. On the south side, Yeah, there are basically window openings that no longer have windows in them. They've been boarded up for who knows how many years, and the doorway. And I think in that area, the glass block really wouldn't be obvious to anybody, really. I mean, if you're walking down through there, hopefully you're a utility worker doing something in that. Otherwise, you probably don't have any real reason to be in that area. And glass block there would probably be, I don't know, maybe a stronger security type thing and fit in with the one potential resident that we have going into that space. I mean,
Well,
we've
I
talked
noticed that
about the glass
when I
block.
did my walk around of it, and would you consider keeping the glass in the front and then blocks in the last two? There's 3 windows there, if I remember right.
There are three windows there.
The
and-
front one's still glass, just for the ambience of the old building, and then put glass in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you put bars up there, you know? I can see your point.
Tim, you gone over the fire escape with the fire marshal and Brian Shaw?
I've discussed it with Brian Shaw
Okay.
and showed him that same drawing that we have, and we're working with a vendor to finalize the details.
Yeah, just make sure all those officials have signed off on your design before you do it. Okay.
Sir, the member of the public, could you tell us your name so we can get that on record, please?
Joe Godward.
Okay. Thank you very
Any
much.
relation?
Yes. No.
All right.
One other little note, just in case you're curious, if you remember seeing the Oddfellows sign that was hanging outside, the Oddfellows took that, so they are in possession of it. We do not have it anymore.
Okay.
Just if you're curious.
All right. Ken, could you do filings of facts for us, please?
Yeah, and so the outbuilding, we've gone over those, beat them to death over the last, every op, so.
Did you already close public comment?
I'm sorry, I did ask for public
Yes, he
comment.
did.
Yes,
If you got something.
yes.
Do-
Yeah, I had some.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who knew?
Please come forward then. I'm sorry. I didn't know there was someone else that wanted to speak.
Yeah, my name's Link Ludington, 601 Mulberry Street. I don't know the situation here, but I don't know whether these people are going to stick around after the meeting or not. And I did want to just take, as Chris Cody pointed out, this project is potentially eligible as a rehabilitation tax credit project. And what I would like to emphasize to you is that this board's approval is not going to have any bearing on whether the the DHPA, the Division of Historic Preservation and Archaeology at the state level, or the National Park Service will approve your project for tax credits. So just be aware of the fact that you need, whatever this board approves, you need to make sure that the Park Service will approve your plans and determine eligibility for the tax credits, because this board's approval will not be of any benefit to you. So I've been involved in a number of tax credit projects here in Madison in the last 40 years, and I know that there are situations I know of that people lost their tax credits because they thought they could count on what the local historic district board approved, and then when it gets to the state or Park Service level, they get the rug pulled out from under them. So this is one area in which I think there's a potential for greater, there are opportunities for somehow improving the interaction between this board, the City of Madison Development Department, and the DHPA and the Park Service in terms of encouraging people to take advantage of these tax credits, because there are literally people over the last few decades have literally left hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax credits on the table that wound up being wasted just because they didn't pursue it in the proper form. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Mr. Ludington, thank you for your input.
I'll just add something before we go to finding of
Sure.
fact. So we're currently in the process of getting a state register designation, so this is state, not federal, for a house, and they are very strict about following the Secretary of the Interior guidelines. So that those are the kind of the national guidelines. So our Madison guidelines are based on, our Madison ordinance, but then also the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines. And I think what Link is saying is really a factor. If you do something like your glass block, that could be perceived as not being a good historical restoration, and it might, mess up your application for those funds. Really a good idea to look into that.
Yeah, and again, I'm happy to, if you guys are going to hang around after this meeting a little bit, or at another time, talk to you about the credit. I've got really deep experience with it, and everything Link said was fantastic advice.
Anything else? Ken, could you do finding of facts
Yeah.
for us, please?
So outbuildings, we've done that already several times in the meeting, and Tim's plans are fine. So window stems, you've heard everyone talk about, and our guidelines talk about windows and preserving windows extensively. And so I just want to say that, your project is, we're all just doing this for you, Tim,
Thank you.
Now, keep those windows, but use Jed's idea on security bars, if that's helpful to you. And then that makes this project meet the guidelines.
Chris, do you agree?
I do, with the clarification that, keep all the existing historic windows, right, but where the windows don't exist on the south elevation, that glass block is, we find that to meet the guidelines. Is that what we're saying? Since there's no window there to keep?
No, I'm comfortable with that. Me, but I don't know.
I think so, yes.
Okay, total agreement.
Jed?
I support the project, yes.
Okay. Ken, you do already, obviously. Jared?
Yeah, I support the project. I'm still a little hesitant about the glass block and the ones that the windows are not there. But I do support the project, yes.
Right?
Yes, I support the project.
Happy.
I agree with Jared. Love the project. Think it meets guidelines. Would like to see no glass block windows in the building.
And I approve. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion first?
You need-
Motion first.
You need a motion.
Excuse me, motion. Right, could you do the motion for us, guys?
Sure, can I borrow your? Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Tim Godward for the project at 114, no, that's not right,
408.
604, 608, 408.
408 Mulberry Street, Madison, Indiana.
You got all that?
It's
All
second.
right.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Jed.
Second. Roll call vote.
Okay, Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Brian Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson.
Approve.
Thank you very much.
Jed Skillman, I get to vote, I approve.
Oh, Jed, excuse me. All right. Let's see here now. I think that's all of the new ones, new
Well-
business.
Well, we do need to have a motion to table this one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, is there a motion to table?
I move we table the project at 412 Broadway Street from David Fishmer.
Second.
Just so we're clear, this is kind of an indefinite tabling, because they need to redesign everything.
Okay.
Who was the second?
Thank you, Jed.
Okay, Bill Jewell,
Approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Brian Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Yes.
So now we are into new
Now-
old business, and we've got a couple things
Okay.
this time. So first up, we have Happy's changes to the guidelines. This is just a reading. We will not be approving anything tonight. That will be at the earliest the next meeting if there are no additions from you guys.
Brenda?
Do you want to read through them? Or do you have a question first?
Well, I have a comment, but do you want Happy to read it? Is that what you're doing?
Well, we'll read it first, and then if
Okay.
you have comments, we'll do that after.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So it used to be that all Windows applications, so this would be any removal of any historic window, would have come before the Historic Board. But then that got changed in COVID times for efficiency and for more smooth running of the Historic District approvals. So I'm just kind of concerned about the number of windows that are getting replaced around town. And concerns were also raised at last year's Preservation Conference. We had a National Parks Department historian come and say that, we are seeing a lot of replacements, and over time, if these trends were to continue, maybe a long time in the future, we might have our historic district status, become threatened because we have so much alteration, so much change in the historic district. So I wanted to move the window applications back underneath the board. When the fast-track applications happen, there usually isn't a C of A, there isn't much looking over the windows replacement. So this will allow more of a conversation about windows.
There is a COA. I will say that. There is a COA.
Oh, for staff?
Yes.
But there's no green sign on the.
They don't have, the green sign is just for public notice, but they do still get the blue and green signs.
Right, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I did misspeak. I wanted to say there was no public.
Yes.
Sorry, there was no public notification. So for a number of reasons, it seemed good to maybe at this time reassess this and bring these back under the authority of the full HDBR. So I'm going to read the new proposed one. Currently, staff can replace all windows as long as staff can authorize the replacement of all windows if the owner is willing to use guidelines-approved windows, which would be aluminum-clad windows. So I'm saying, if the building has historic wood windows, HDBR approval is needed for removal and replacement. Historic window definition for this context, semicolon, any bare/painted wood, parentheses, not clad, window with multiple true divided lights and single pane. This is usually single-strength glass. Or new different material does not meet guidelines, including vinyl or vinyl clad. So if they want to replace a window and what they want to replace it with doesn't meet guidelines, that would also fall under HDBR review. Is that sufficient, everybody, for reading it?
Do you have
Yes.
any comments?
Comments?
Anything to add?
Thank
I'm
you
all for it.
pursuing this, Happy. I think this is great. And I think I think it's a way to maybe lighten the load for staff, because I know that you guys are very busy. So I think this is very beneficial. So thank you, Happy.
Anyone else?
Well,
I have a question for Brenna, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
So on the staff approval, when you're looking at the guidelines, you're looking at the percentage of the window that's been deteriorated. My concern is that we may be replacing windows that should be looked at for restoration, or at least a discussion about restoration.
So we do discuss that with the homeowners. A lot of times cost is something that comes up
Yeah.
for them, and so in an effort to kind of bridge that gap between having to do total replacement and having to do restoration, we look at all of the factors there, and I do usually have Nicole review it as well. If there's any question, we have Brian go out and look as well. So we get multiple opinions on it prior to approving anything.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
The interesting thing that I think, and maybe I'm totally got this wrong, but you can do a wonderful job on restoring a window, keeping the glass and everything like that, but then you can put a mill finish storm window over the top of it. It just destroys the look in that, of anything historic. And I don't quite understand
We just
that
had
concept.
a seminar this summer on that. with Historic Madison had a seminar on windows, and that was one of the things they touched on, was how to put a storm on a window without making it look like it came out of Lowe's.
Not only that, but just to add, and that's a very good question. Reversibility is key. You can take the storms out afterwards, and saving the historic window and making sure that that's there is usually what's prioritized.
I missed part of what you were saying, Happy, when you were talking about this. You know, the house on, is it Second Street, where the windows are going to be replaced? Would this protect them till we get this through? Or if they hurry right up, they can bust those windows out of there and put some vinyl clads in?
If they've put in an application already that has been staff approved as of today, prior to this reading, then they would be able to do it. But if it hasn't been approved yet, or if they have not submitted an application,
Okay.
then it'll have to wait.
So you're talking about 611 West Second?
Yeah, I drove by there too.
Yeah, so this is a house that got a PACE grant, and they have some porch windows, so porches are protective, and they do have exterior storms. And so Brenna is talking to these homeowners, and correct me, I think Brenna was going to approach them about getting an assessment of their current windows. Because in the case of some houses, the window is really a huge architecturally defining feature of the house. And in this case, you know, I felt that those windows were definitely worth saving. But this one, as Brenna has explained, has already gotten the yes from staff approvals. So they would be able to probably proceed forward with their plans. But in future, we would be able to have more of a conversation when windows like that come before us. Not every window can be saved, but I think we are losing some good windows, and I think it would be good to try not to do that.
Under the staff review section, when it comes time to make changes, I'm going to move to strike everything in blue in that middle staff review section.
What's that?
Here.
So I didn't read all of it. Maybe I could just go ahead and read the rest of it?
Yes.
Would that be clarifying then? And that will kind of set us up for your comment, Ken?
Okay?
So staff had seen this also, which was great, and were giving us their thoughts as well. So essentially, staff can replace any windows where there's already been a replacement window. So if it has a vinyl window or a new modern window, we're not so concerned. We're just trying to save the historic fabric. So staff had wanted us to add a provision concerning safety, where they said if a historic wood window is considered unsafe by the building inspector after an on-site inspection and is a needed egress for safety, staff may approve the replacement window except in the use of vinyl or vinyl clad. So I had conversations, just continuing, Ken, to try and address some of your concerns. I had conversations with both Nicole and Brenna, and I guess the fire code is if it's a basement window or an attic window or a bedroom window, that those would be ones where there might be a safety issue. And Nicole had also said, you know, Brian will make an on-site visit. She specifically put that in here. Brian will make an on-site visit, so he could assess. Sometimes it's a quick razor blade fix. Sometimes you can make the windows operable quite easily, and so Brian would be able to do that. So I did ask Brenna if the windows at 611 would have still come before us because they wouldn't be a bedroom window or an attic window. And I think you had said, yeah, that would be okay. They've got a door right there.
She has not done any of that work yet, so I can still have a conversation with her and see if she'd be.
They're really beautiful windows.
So my point is everything in blue is redundant. So we've always been aware that ADA and fire building codes trump everything in the guidelines. So there's no reason to have this in this.
I think, so Nicole is the one who added that in, and I think she did that just so that it is perfectly clear that
It's
is
already
trumped.
perfectly clear.
Because I don't think everybody who reads the guidelines, or the guidelines would know that. So I think that's just, it's better to over-explain than under-explain.
I think we need to create language, though, when in doubt, send it to the board.
Yeah, and that's
And the reason
general
is
policy.
we don't want to lose all these windows. Those old windows, the nice thing about them, no matter how bad a shape they are in, they are restorable. and they'll actually outlast anything modern. Look around town at 20-year-old vinyl windows that have failed. The wood windows are still here.
And the last piece is, it was my motion that put these procedure changes into action in 20, and it was not a temporary, it was not COVID release, it was entirely to shift work on to staff so that folks wouldn't have to come in here and just get confused and wonder what was going on. So they were designed to be permanent changes to make this whole process easier and reduce the animus against the board in this whole process. So, been very successful from my point.
Anyone else? Brenda, I don't know where we go from this on this one.
So with this one, that will wait until the next meeting. If anybody has any written changes that they want to submit, you would just send those to me.
Okay.
Or if you just want to tell them to
Sure.
me, I can type them up for you as well.
All righty.
So we'll just rediscuss next meeting, and if there were any changes, we'll try to incorporate them. Okay.
Okay. So next up is, we got the drawings for the garage at 1030 Park Avenue. So these are the measured drawings. So this is what the front and the back will look like with their garage doors, and then this is the side view.
And this is Robin Mangioni's, right?
Yes, yeah. So she is just delivering what she promised at the last meeting.
Great, I don't see any reason to void the previous approval based on these drawings.
She has to handle the drop in the elevation on this somehow, and it looks to me like she's doing fine. I would not like to see a really large drop without a step foundation going down.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that this is not like a to-scale drawing
Right.
that will address that. But I can speak with her on that part.
Okay.
Are we all in agreement there?
Yes. Everyone agree?
Does anybody else have anything new or old business?
Nothing else?
So staff report for this month, we had 2 window replacements and a fence for HMI. The 402 East Main, those are actually in the back. Those were the ones that were primarily needing replacement. And that's at the Red Cross building. And then 611 West 2nd is the one that Happy was talking about. So she does have approval, but I will still speak to her on seeing if she'd be open to restoration. And then the fence at HMI, I don't think that there was one there already. There had been one in the past, and they were just putting it back.
Any comments from the board so far?
One more. So
Go ahead.
for last year, we only had 3 for May last year as well. So one is a sign at 112 East Main, that is there. That is the apothecary now, the flower shop. Springdale Cemetery, doors, storm windows and gutters on their chapel building, that has been done. And then the Children's Advocacy Center was just a sign out front, and that's done as well.
Hey, Brenda, can we just go back to the previous slide? So for anything that's approved by the HDBR, you can go online now and grab the packet and see what happened with it. Something 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you can go grab it. But we can't do that with staff approvals, right? There is no equivalent document that kind of talks about what happened.
We lost that when the
Photos.
city changed their website 4 or 5 years ago. We used to be able to do that, but they didn't put the programming in, and so
Right,
we
but we
can't.
still can do it for board-approved C of As. We just can't we can't do it with staff
Yes,
C of As.
we used to be able to.
That might be a really nice thing to have. I know
We've-
more work.
We've discussed looking at doing something like that. I think that there might be plans to change the website design. So that's something that we'd be working with on PR.
Because then we could look at the 611 West Second Street photos, that you guys asked for, And then, there at least is documentation, yes, these windows were damaged enough to replace. That'd be a nice thing.
Anyone else? We're good. I would entertain a motion for adjournment. I'm sorry, sir.
Opportunity for public comment?
I'm sorry, go ahead, please, I'm sorry.
Once again, Link Ludding, 601 Mulberry Street. I did have a couple of questions. I didn't really come prepared to address specific issues, but first of all, I heard a reference to the distinction between primary and secondary areas in the historic district. And although that was a feature of the 1982 historic district ordinance, and forgive me if I've missed other developments in the past recently, but I thought that the most recently adopted map that was voted on by the city council, there was no distinction between primary and secondary areas. Was I mistaken in that?
There is some disagreement on that
Okay.
between our department and the mayor's office. So we are working through that. He is the one who suggested that we still abide by that.
Even though it's
primary,
been
secondary.
repealed? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so there's that, and then a couple of observations, obviously I'm very much in favor of historic preservation, but I'm also very much in favor of basic fairness. And there was the issue brought up of what amounts to a pole barn, and there was a lot of discussion that I think was valuable in terms of whether to approve metal siding on a new construction building. But I found myself wondering what was different between that particular, and I'm not necessarily looking for an answer or a response. What was the difference between that pole barn, or what I would call a pole barn, and I can think of three very prominent examples of pole barns essentially pole barns that were in fact approved by this board within the past couple of years. So once again, without seeing the findings of fact and what the justification was for accepting those pole barn siding buildings, I just raised that question. And then similarly, also in two applications tonight, there was a lot of discussion about whether to approve a simulated divided light 6/6 light window sash for a new construction, as opposed to just a single light. And I don't think the board necessarily mandated that the applicant go to a single simulated divided light 6/6 imitation window. But then the very next application, or a couple after that, it was another garage where it showed a one over one light, single light sash, and there was nobody even raised the question about that. So once again, I'm not demanding an answer, but finally, I would just like to point out that this is National Historic Preservation Month, and Mayor Bob Courtney last week issued a proclamation in recognition of Preservation Month. And in fact, the City Council was presented with a thumbnail sketch of essentially the history of historic preservation in Madison over the past 100 years. So I just like to throw that in there for the sake of the record. And then finally, I'd also like to point out that our existing historic district master plan for the city of Madison was written in 1981, over 40 years ago. And in light of developments that have taken place for the last few decades, and discussions that have now been started about changing the course of historic preservation for the historic district, I think that it might be time for this board to ask for a new historic district master plan to be drafted to guide future development in the next few decades. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ludington.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ludington. I'd love to just try and answer a few of those questions. And first, I just want to say I really appreciate your being here and speaking up for historic preservation and drawing our attention to Historic Preservation Month. On the issue of primary versus secondary designations, I wasn't here for a lot of that debate, but I can say that per the law, it's sort of a meaningless distinction. If you're within the historic district overlay, you're within the historic district overlay, and statements of significance are for guidance and to help us properly apply the guidelines and, knowing when to be extremely strict and when not to based on the significance of the building. So it's not, a legal designation. I think it's more of a guidance designation. And in terms of the 6/6 and sort of the discrepancies of some of the garage decision-making, man, you just really highlighted why this is a hard job. It's really difficult to sort of parse out those distinctions, and no commission in the country achieves some kind of complete uniform color by numbers. There's always going to be an element of judgment that goes into it, and I know everyone probably had different reasons for how they voted different ways this evening, but we're all trying to do our best for the district. And again, I just really want to thank you for drawing attention to Preservation Month and to the importance of historic preservation here in Madison.
Anyone else? I think it must be time for adjournment. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go home.